It's the Brad and John Show.
November 27th, that's today's date. If you're listening to the show in the future, this is B block, which means it's approximately from 7:20 to about 7:40 in the morning. The reason I mention that is because the entire show runs live 7 to 8 a.m. Central. We're in standard time now, right, John? Isn't it standard time now?
Hey, you're the time zone expert, Brett. I think it's standard and then summer is daylight, right?
Yes, I believe that's what it is. Okay, a couple things to talk about this morning. First off, guns and hoses. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a phone call. You say I'm so far 2 for 2 with my phone calls. Maybe I can go 3 for 3. I'm going to make a phone call, and I will hopefully have this person corroborate a interesting guns and hoses story I had years ago. If you don't know what that is, it's a fundraiser for the Backstoppers. Backstoppers is a great organization that comes in when any of the, and matter of fact, I don't know if you knew this or not, I heard one of the guys from Backstoppers on the air. Now they're doing they said they're doing 27 counties, which the St. Louis MSA is 16 counties. I believe it's 9 on the Missouri side and 7 on the Illinois side. But man, they must be going far out if they're doing 27 counties.
That's huge. Does that include the ill side too?
I guess so. Anyway, what they do is they come in, and if a firefighter, first responder, police officer, paramedic is injured or killed in the line of duty, they come in and essentially help the family. A lot of times they pay off mortgages. If there's, obviously funeral costs and things like that. Sometimes, unfortunately, some of these people who are injured are shot, end up in the hospital for a while, and then sadly they perish, and there's huge hospital bills. They take care of all that stuff. And supposedly they make $1 million a year off this guns and hoses. I believe it is sold out. If not, I would suggest that you at least go online and see if you can find some of the tickets. And if you've never been to one of these, it's just like, what was it? Now, I was going to say, I'm feeling like this is a Friday. I was going to say it's just like 2 weeks ago, but it's actually a week and a half when we had the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. That was sort of the snoozer. The undercard was the fight to see the two women. I have personally been to Guns and Hoses, I think 4 or 5 times, and always the women's bouts are the best. I told the story, I think last week, that Mike Shannon's daughter, once upon a time, was a firefighter, paramedic in University City, and she fought one year, and damn, she was good. I mean,
wow, that's awesome. So who are we calling, Brad?
It's going to be a surprise, and it's going to be a surprise
okay.
to not to me, but to you, and also to the person I'm calling, because they won't expect me to call about this. Okay, couple different things. You sent me this, and I watched the video this morning. This bizarre traffic stop. Was this in Chicago?
Yeah, I think so. And full disclosure, Brad, I didn't watch the whole thing, but let's talk about it anyway.
Oh my God. What official is she? She kept telling the police. Here's the story, and I believe it's Chicago PD. Wasn't Chicago PD that was working this accident?
Correct. Yeah.
They had a car that, and it looks like it's in a urban kind of an area, and apparently the driver of the car was driving erratically, and apparently there were already a couple 911 calls about a drunk driver. Of course, that wouldn't have been from John Combest, but that's a whole other story. But anyway,
hold on. Let me interrupt. I have the story details right in front of me. Can I read them real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the woman is Samantha Steele, and she's a 45-year-old commissioner of the Cook County Board of Review. Now, Brad, you pointed out on our show yesterday, Cook County includes Chicago, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Samantha Steele was pulled over, and the headline from Newsweek is she was arrested Sunday. So this was the week before last. After crashing her car while drunk and reportedly questioning a police officer over the size of his penis. Now, Brad, I don't remember. I feel like on October 1st in B Block, we had a conversation about this. Does this ring a bell?
Yes, and you sent me this the other day. What was your comment about when was your progressive women get confronted by authoritarian men, they question the size of their manhood? Wasn't that what you said?
And it doesn't have to be progressive women, but this is one of the many theories that I subscribe to that's been proven over time by the great Rollo Tomassi. You can find him at The Rational Male. But the idea is when a woman can't win an argument, Brad, we all have things we fall back on. Men fall back on things, women fall back on things, but a woman will say one of two things in general. She will question the size of your genitalia if she can't win an argument, or she will say, well, who hurt you? Who hurt you? And so this woman in Cook County, who's a 45-year-old elected official, and let's say, I just remember from the clip, like, she's not bad to look at, right? I mean, like, her egg tray is depleted, but, She's still pleasant to look at. But her line was she was repeatedly questioning the officer and suggesting because she didn't have anything else to say that he must have a small penis.
Well, first off, for my 3 years in law enforcement, working as dispatcher for a police department, the worst thing you can say to a police officer when you get pulled over is, do you know who I am? Because instantly, the police, matter of fact, I can tell you stories of, once again, I knew these guys personally. They would come in laughing about this. They would say, well, I pulled over a gal or a guy on, going a little bit too fast. I pulled him over for a warning. And when I approached the car, they said, do you know who I am? And out comes the state ticket book. That's when.
Yes. And also, I would just point out that if you're arrested today or you have any sort of interaction with an officer, you should certainly expect that every interaction will be recorded thanks to body cam.
Well, and here's the interesting thing. We've talked about this before. This is the law of unintended consequences. When the people fought for the body cameras because we want to see what's actually happening with these police interactions, they thought that every body cam video was going to show the cops beating people up in the head with their, pistol whipping them with their Beretta 92s, their Glock 19s, are like kicking them or are yanking them and pulling their hair out. And it's, maybe that's 5-10% of the videos, maybe not even 5%. 95% of the videos, you see the nasty side of people. And we're not talking the police officers. And this is a perfect example of that. These cops couldn't have been any nicer to her. But she, from the get-go, she won't get out of the car. She won't give them her driver's license. She won't give them her insurance. And she keeps telling them she's not going to have any interaction with them until her attorney shows up. And she's calling her attorney. I think at first time she was calling it like she had her car was connected through the dashboard, through the dashboard app. And then I think he finally called her back, and you can hear, I'll be there in 10 minutes. So they finally get her out of the car, and that's where some of this penis size, back and forth starts.
Yeah, she asks, is your penis that small?
Right. It's so bizarre. She keeps going there. And once again, these cops are respectful. They are essentially saying to her, ma'am, we don't care about the fact that your attorney's on the way. All we're asking you is your driver's license and your insurance. And then she says, the one officer says, ma'am, do you realize you hit several cars? And her response, did you hear this?
No.
She says, it was only 2.
Only 2 cars. And Brad, that's often lost in this. Like, she wasn't just pulled over, because she was weaving. Like, she actually, her car was smashed.
Yes, the interesting thing is, it wasn't, she said, it's not her car. It was her friend's car. Okay. I wonder if that's going to be a friend too much longer. Okay. So finally, she gets out of the car. And this is the interesting aspect of the whole thing. The police officer asked her directly, will you consent to a field sobriety test? And she says no. Immediately the handcuffs come out because once again, that's the procedure. If you're not going to, and once again, it's not like she was driving down the road and went over the center line a couple times. She smashed into a couple cars, and she's obviously just drunk. Matter of fact, almost as drunk as the Kamala Harris video. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good, Brad.
Okay,
and I love the versions, like you sent me ones where, she's got a bottle of Cavassier or whatever it is. She's smoking a blunt, and another one. It's great. Well, let's get back to Sam.
Okay,
she wants to be just called Sam. Samantha she's cool just being called Sam by the cops.
Right. So immediately when she refuses the breathalyzer, once again, which is procedure, because I believe that's an Illinois law, and I believe it's a state law as well, too, that if you refuse, if the officers have what do they call it? Suspicion.
Like reasonable suspicion.
Reasonable suspicion. And in this case, once again, she smashed into a couple cars, and she's slurring her words, and she's being a little bit sort of bizarre. And the minute you say, no, I won't submit, you are under arrest, because I think it's the same way in Missouri. They take you to a hospital and they do a blood draw, right? Isn't that the way it is in Missouri now?
I believe that's exactly how it goes.
And essentially, if you will not submit, and I know there's been lawsuits under this because they claim it's, Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure and stuff like that. But once again, when you see this, I worked for 3 years for this police department. And as a result of that, this was back in the crazy time. This is back when I worked in Illinois. This was back when Illinois had the 19-year-old wine and beer drinking. And it was all the Missouri kids coming over to Illinois, getting schnockered, and then driving back on 270 or 5570 coming out of East St. Louis, or on 255 coming out of Monroe County. And there were accidents all the time on 270. And it got to the point where it was like, if I worked a Friday or Saturday night shift and there weren't accidents, it was like, okay, what's going on? Is the bars closed or something like that? And essentially, the whole thing is, and she kept saying, I'm an elected official. She never said what she was. She just kept saying, I'm an elected official. So in other words, it's like, oh, well, you're an elected official. We'll just get back in your car and drive home. Don't worry about the fact that you just smashed those other two cars. Just go home. We'll see you later. Bye. Right?
Yeah. And I love the fact that when they did the search of the car, they found, I'm just reading the Chicago Sun-Times account of this. They found a half empty bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon.
Well, and see,
in the front seat.
Now, see, here we go once again. Unless the laws have changed, in Illinois, they have very strict laws on what they call illegal transportation. And I know one of the officers that I used to work with. He had a real. I mean, some guys would let this slide, but the way the Illinois, law reads. If a police officer pulls you over and you are absolutely positively 100% stone cold sober, if there's an empty beer can on the floor of your car, you're under arrest, because in Illinois that's illegal transportation. You can't, Missouri's got crazy things like this. You can't, like, if you go to the liquor store or the QT or whatever you go, and you get like a bottle of vodka or whatever, or a bottle of wine, it has to be put in a sleeve, because if you just have the bottle in your car and you get pulled over, guess what? You're in trouble. But it's if in the sleeve or a bag, that's okay. It's the laws are so weird, don't you think?
I think so. And most people don't know that you go in to your favorite McDonald's on Mid-Rivers Mall Drive because you hate people and you would rather just order from a kiosk than speak to a human being. And then you get one of your little shooter bottles and you pour the liquor into your soda. And it's full calorie soda. It's not the diet stuff,
right?
Despite what you say. And then you take the little shooter bottle and you throw it in the parking lot so that cars can roll over it and it can create plastic pollution. Isn't that how it goes, Brad?
That's exactly how it is, John. You've got me nailed 100%.
Wait a minute. I made one critical mistake. Cars don't run over it. A little bit further down the road, golf carts come from Cottleville and run over the little shooter bottles. That's what happens.
Because the McDonald's right there, that's a crazy little intersection right there. If you're in the McDonald's or the Deerbergs or any of those stores like the Bandanas or any of the places you're in St. Peter's. If you walk across Highway N, and what's sort of weird about that is when you come up to Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, if you come up from the north, it's Central School, but once you cross over Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, it turns into Highway N, and the Schnucks is in Cottleville, but the Deerbergs is in St. Peter's, which is, sort of weird. But anyway, okay, so the deal on that. Now, let's talk for a minute about the video that came out with Kamala Harris. John, if you had to be a betting man, if you were going to be, what's the big betting site, the prop betting site, the one we talked about that they raided the guy's house the day after the election or stuff like that? Which one is that?
Polymarket.
Polymarket. Okay. If there were odds betting on that video, and once again, this was released by the DNC. This is not like Joe Schmidt who took a video of Kamala. This was released by the DNC on their official X account. Don't you think that the majority of people would say she was drunk when she recorded this?
I don't see how you watch that and don't think she had a glass of wine before she recorded it.
It's so bizarre. And she talks about nobody can take the power away from you except from you, Kamala, because you're not going to be the president. She kept, nobody can take the power away from you. And just yesterday it came out, or was it yesterday and Monday that came out, that she came out and said, I'm going to run for president again or governor of California, one of the two.
Yeah. Kamala 2028.
And the Republicans are all like, yes, bring it on.
I know. And what struck me, I'm curious to hear what you think about this, Brad, because she looked really tired in that video.
Oh, yeah.
You would expect, I guess I would expect that she would look relieved, like she's had a little bit of time, but she just looked exhausted,
She
Brad.
did. Matter of fact, have you seen these with all these crazy things on X, all these guys do this Photoshop. Have you seen the before and after pictures? They show a really good picture of her when she's campaigning, and then you see a picture of her in this video, and it's like, okay, is that the same person?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and remember too, they probably the campaign probably spent a little bit, more time on her appearance before the election than they do now.
Well, the other interesting thing was, do you know she just came off a 2-week vacation in Hawaii? Did you know about this?
I did. Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
I'm going like, okay, man, put me in 2 weeks in Hawaii. I'll come back looking like a 22-year-old. You know what I mean? Whoa, man.
Yeah, and you might come back with a 22.
Yeah, no, that would
or
be.
Or you might stay there for a 22-year-old.
No, I'm sorry.
Wait, is Tulsi Gabbard still there?
No. See, now I would love to come back with Tulsi Gabbard, but and once again, here we go. She's getting pushback because I'm hearing the Republicans say, "Well, she's a turncoat." Okay, let's take a look at this. Donald Trump used to be a Democrat. Ronald Reagan used to be a Democrat. What do you have to have a DNA test to prove that you really have changed your mind and you've seen the light? Why is it?
Wow, Brad, hold on. If I listen real closely, I think I hear Rhino Radio coming out of your voice, Brad. Are you Rhino Radio? Is this Rhino Radio?
Yes. Tracy and Rick, listen to me. Maybe I can get a shot on your station after all, right?
Maybe you could get another cease and desist.
Yes. A cease and desist from Tracy. By the way, I ran into somebody the other day that out of the clear blue that listens to the show, and the guy says to me, "The funniest thing I heard you ever say was when you called them kinos."
That Christian and name only. That's a Brad invention.
Yes, a Brad invention.
And let's not forget our friend Camelia Peterson and her friend Kathy Jo Loy invented the term gyno, which is grassroots in name only.
Interesting. So we got rhinos, kinos, and gynos, right?
Yeah. Boy, let's just let that one. Let that one breathe.
Oh my!
Let's
rhinos,
be like a good gyno and let that one breathe a little.
Rhinos and kinos and gynos. Oh my! Rhinos and kinos and gynos. Oh my!
That sounds like the Dua Lipa singer should get on that one, Brad.
I think Ariana Grande would be better on that one. Okay, we the donut liquor, as Shelley would always get mad at me. Here you go again. Can you stop calling her the donut liquor? Okay.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?